Have you never been punched?
I've never been punched.
Oh man, I don't know how you avoided it.
Yeah.
Oh my.
As Kyle. Yeah. Just
The Babylon Bee Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Babylon Bee interview show. Today we are talking to Gina Carano. Welcome, Gina. And Gina, what you want to hear about from Gina, obviously, is pocket knives and Montana. So that's where we're going to start. Jarret brought up...
I'm carrying my grandfather's pocket knife. It's a Barlow today. I don't actually know how old this is, but it's like still sharp. That's really cool. But you live in Montana where people actually have pocket knives that they wear in their pockets all the time.
Yeah. So I moved out of California and I went to Montana, and it doesn't have anything to do with knives per se, although when I was living here, I was carrying knives nonstop. And now up there, it's like an open carry state. So
An open carry knife state? Can you not carry knives in California?
well, I don't know about that,
Okay.
but I know that at
less
some
than
point.
6 inches or something.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Huh? Oh,
There's
they
probably-
can't have the Crocodile Dundee.
You probably can't carry a machete around Los
No,
Angeles.
you can't. It has to be less, like shorter than 6 inches, I think. You can carry.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway.
Well, okay.
It's very interesting, Jarret.
Weapons. I guess where I was going with Montana was like weapons and how you can carry them, and it feels safe and it's nice. But I was on my way to my cousin's funeral, and I had moved all of my stuff with my gun from a small purse into like this big, like medicine woman purse, and I moved my gun into there. And so
Like
then
Dr. Quinn?
Yes, it was a
Okay.
Dr. Quinn purse.
Dr. Quinn, medicine woman
Yeah,
purse.
you like open it up and it's like got the firm bottom. Like I just absolutely love it.
I somehow don't remember her purse, but I remember the show.
You would look at this purse and be like, "This is a medicine
Like
woman."
Dr. Quinn's purse.
Well, she said medicine woman. I'm thinking, Anyway, sorry.
So I put the gun in there, and then I'm on a rush to go to the airport, and I'm just rushing and going through security, get to the other side. They cut off the line after me, and everybody looks like super nervous. And I was like, oh my goodness, what's happening right now? Like, I had a big curling iron, like this side, 6 inches curling iron in there.
It's
Above the California.
longer than yeah.
curling
Yeah.
iron.
And so I was like, somebody's a problem. And then I was like, then I looked after me and I was like, okay, so I might be the problem, but it's just a curling iron, people. And then like one of the the security ladies went up to the other ladies and she was like this. And I was like, oh, I'm really the problem. I almost yelled out. I was like, I forgot it was in there. And I'm like, this looks even more guilty. Stop speaking. I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, just stop. And I was like, oh, defeat. And so they took me in the back, and it was just really funny because we've got this like woman, she verbally said, she was a TSA person. She's like, this is my first time with this kind of case. And I was like, oh, don't. I was like, well, I wouldn't tell people that. And I was like, but I said, look at my face. And I calmed her down. I said, look at my face. This is the face. When somebody's acting like this is somebody who's innocent. So if somebody's not acting like this, then maybe be really nervous. But then like the cop, because there's a cop and a TSA agent that have to handle this. The cop came in and he was just like, yeah, this happens so much in Montana, you wouldn't believe. They just forget it's in there, like us women in our purses. He's like, I'm just upset that you didn't have it in a holder like you should have. And so it was really cute. And so I was like, am I on the watch list? And I was like, oh, I'm probably on it anyways.
Yeah, that's what. Did they know who you were?
I think the cop did. The TSA lady, I think she was just all flustered and didn't know what to do. But yeah, I'm sure every time I go through that airport now, they're like, there she is.
Your picture's on the wall somewhere.
Yeah. But they were really sweet. So I went to the funeral and I came back and they were like, your gun's ready for pickup. And I'm like, that's sweet. All right, well. They're like, if this happened in any other state, you might have a bigger problem on
Was
your
the gun
hands.
loaded?
No, it wasn't loaded, and
Okay.
that would have been a bigger problem
I
if
bet.
but it definitely had like the bullets in the mag and like next to it.
Yeah.
So TSA considers that loaded, even if it's not in the gun. So it's just a really interesting thing. But the cop made sure to tell me, he was like, you actually haven't broken any laws. You've broken a contract with TSA. So there's going to be a big fine. And but you actually haven't broken a law necessarily, which I felt.
A big fine. Like, how
Interesting.
much is a big fine?
15 to 3,000.
Jeez.
That's a lot. That's more than the gun.
It's a big mistake.
Yeah, no, it wasn't more than a gun.
Oh,
but-
there we go.
Interesting.
That's interesting. I've lost so many knives at airports because I forget about them.
yeah.
You just toss them?
Yeah, I just
Or do you-
they keep them and like I'm
Oh,
like,
like, take
oh, like I had a, what do you call this? I had like a K-bar knife the last time I was flying. Anyways, I'd forgotten about it, and it was in. I go in there, and the guy's like, "Bro, is this yours?" And I was like, "Merry Christmas, dude."
Yeah.
He's like,
Yours now.
he's like, "Well, I can't keep it." So I'm like, "Oh, that's lame." There's probably like this big pile of knives somewhere.
Yeah, right. This is like the whole they can't keep it thing. Like the cops find the drugs. Oh, we're not going to keep it. We're just going to redistribute
We're
it.
not gonna actually do this coke.
Sorry, cops. No, we didn't mean all cops. We just mean certain. Never mind.
That's right.
Let's just move on. We'll
We
cut
back
that.
the blue. We back the blue here.
And we're keeping that in. Hashtag not all cops. I've personally never brought a weapon to the airport, so I have nothing to contribute here.
When I was a kid,
Goody.
I brought firecrackers, like black cats. Remember those when you were a kid?
Through the TSA?
Through TSA, but it was back before all the stuff,
before
and
it
so you
mattered,
could
yeah.
just travel
Probably
with
wasn't-
firecrackers. No big deal.
Wasn't
Yeah.
TSA kind of a new thing? Like, were they even around then?
Like in 2000, like before 2001.
Yeah. Because isn't that when that was founded?
I don't know.
Okay, anyway, you guys aren't here.
Very interesting.
What is the
stories.
history?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to believe that this is real life and not satire. Under New York law, social media networks must create a system for users to report online speech the state disfavors and endorse the state's mislabeling of some speech as hateful conduct. In other words, the First Amendment freedoms of satirical websites like the Babylon Bee hinge on whether they'll adopt and help enforce the state's ideology. But free speech shouldn't turn on whether the government has a sense of humor. It's clear government officials are trying to bypass the First Amendment to keep ideas they disagree with out of the marketplace. Join ADF as they stand with the Bee and others in defense of free speech. Just $19 a month will fuel the stand to help protect our freedoms. Join adf.com/bee and pledge your monthly gift of $19 or more to ADF. Together, we will boldly advance our right to live and speak the truth. Every gift helps. Go to joinadf.com/bee and stand for free speech with your gift today.
You guys, we were just kidding, of course. You're not here to hear about pocket knives in Montana. You are here because Gina Carano is known as Crush from American Gladiators.
Oh, is that why I'm
That's
here?
why everybody's
Yeah.
excited.
You may know her.
You may know her as Crush from American Gladiators. So how did you get into this? I mean, we're going back to the start here, but
Yeah.
MMA,
Well,
American
yeah.
Gladiators, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
who was your Mr. Miyagi?
Master Toddy. I actually had a Master
Okay.
Toddy, which was so funny that, like, you know, you show up to a mixed martial arts gym having no idea about, you know, any martial arts. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, so this is Master Toddy. And I'm like, you want me to call him Master? You want me to call him Master? And then it just becomes kind of like that environment of Master Toddy. And you, like, you know, swadika, you bow and learn their culture, and it's a really cool thing. So, long story short, I got into mixed martial arts because me and my fiance now, who I've known for 22 years, he was my first love when I was 19, and by the time we hit 21, it was just a really bad environment that we were in. You know, a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, a lot of problems, and definitely we were not headed in the right direction. And then his dad actually told him at some point, if you put that 40 of Old English down, which I don't know if you guys have ever had, but I mean, I tried one like a year ago, and I was like, we used to drink to see how much we could drink of this. Like, you know, it's pretty aggressive. I would just give it a try just to kind of understand what.
That's the recommendation. Just try it.
Just give it
You have to try
should try
what,
a
you know,
40.
when you hear these like 40 of Old English stories, you have to understand how horrific it is. It is so awful. And we would just drink, you know, 1 or 1.5. I can only get to like 1.5 when I was in high school, but like people knew. I mean, that
like
was
a
a lot.
malt. That's like a malt beverage or something, right?
Yeah,
Like
but like the hardcore guys
Yeah.
got it to 2. I mean, I don't think I even could get to 1.5 without just like being ridiculous. But
can we get the crew to run out and grab a 40 of Old English while we're
I think you need to try it
So,
just
yeah.
to understand the mentality of
send out the intern?
Yeah.
So it's intern.
He's under 21.
Just so you could
Beer
get
boy.
like the idea of what that tastes like, and
gotta
how
give it a shot.
self-damaging, I guess, people are at certain ages. So then his dad said basically to him, if you put down that full, Old English right now, I'll give you some money to live your dream and do something you would love to do. And he'd always been into, Kevin Ross is his name. He'd always been into Bruce Lee and mixed martial arts. And so he started training, and I was just completely head over heels over him. So I started training. And then my life just kind of completely took a different turn. So, yeah.
You just had a gift for it. It was just something.
There's something natural about physical violence. It's such a strange thing. I mean, my family's not like shocked about that. Not that I was physically violent with my family, but I've always been an athlete. But like, what I think it was is gymnastics. So if you have kids, get them in gymnastics first before you get them into other sports. And you just learn so much about your body.
So you started with gymnastics and then moved in.
Yeah. Well, I started with dance, tap, jazz, and ballet.
We'd like to see that. Yes. Can we do that now?
You like to see that? You like a little dance routine?
No, just tap. Just tap.
Tap. You know what? I think tap's going to make a comeback.
Yeah.
I think tap is so cool.
It is cool.
I mean,
I had a friend in high school this is a weird story, but he taught himself how to tap dance. He was one of those gate kids,
Yeah.
Gate kids. Gate kids.
I heard what I heard.
Yeah. Anyway, so he was really good at the guitar, and he's like, I'm tired of this. I mastered the guitar. I'm going to learn how to tap dance. So he got a board, and he worked on it in his room, and he became this incredible tap dancer.
I think it's so cool. I think tap, I want to see a lot more tap in our future. Something like, very jazz and cool about it that I just absolutely love.
Very cool.
Yeah. And all of our old movies, Mm-hmm. So if you guys end up making a
film.
Making a film.
Maybe this is the answer. The tap dance.
The tap dance. Or we could do something like we could remake one of the old ones, White Christmas.
No more remakes.
Oh, yeah. Babylon Bee the musical, and it's just all tap dance numbers.
Or, it doesn't have to be just tap dance.
No,
you guys
all tap
got ballet.
dance,
You could do ballet.
I'm sold on the tap
Contemporary.
dance. So.
I want to do an Afro jazz piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you still MMA train, and do you think you could beat one or both of us up?
Yeah. Serious question.
Serious question. You just never know. When you look at people, I don't know your guys' backgrounds.
You don't know. Assume that I have.
That's a fighter's response, though.
Assume that I have never trained.
You can never really know how strong someone is, what they do, how in shape they are. At the moment, I'd say I was not very in shape, but I still am. Gotta. You're not as in shape. You got a pretty heavy punch, so it depends on if your chins are that. How your chins are.
How's your chin?
I don't know. No one's ever asked me that before.
Have you never been punched?
I've never been punched.
Oh man, I don't know how you avoided it.
Yeah.
Oh my.
As Kyle. Yeah. Just being who you are.
Just because of the Babylon Bee, or do I look punchable?
No, I mean, it's just I got punched so much in my life. I've gotten punched so much in my life, and I don't have half the mouth on me, probably.
With your mouth?
Me, man. No, I don't insult people in person, just on the internet.
Oh,
Just as the Babylon
and
Bee.
I don't know how you've gotten this far. I've been punched so much. I have an excellent job.
You
So
do.
the
So you can get punched and just throw
Keep
some
on going.
steak on it.
Yeah, if it's rocked me, it's been it was hard, and I've been punched by where
Professionals.
professionals where they punch you and then your feet can't catch up with your head fast enough. Definitely seen the bright light a bunch of times.
We were watching some American Gladiators clips ahead of this.
Yeah.
And you kicked some lady in the face.
It was a step.
Well, she said it was a step.
It looked like
It looked like
painful.
a step.
They told us
That lady was so mad, though.
she was so upset.
Oh, my goodness.
But it was the whole reason because she said kicks are illegal, and I was like, but it was a step, and there's a difference.
okay.
And I
So
defend
you
that to
stepped
this
on
day.
She's like,
I've been misunderstood for so long.
You've obviously never been kicked.
Now, would you still return to fighting to face Ronda Rousey?
Oh, that was just such the transition. I'm not any. And
She's making fun of my interviewing skill
Oh no, I'm not.
Saying,
and saying that I'm super punchable. So this is going
is
well.
there? I got punched a couple times. I just want to point that
Oh
out.
yeah, how is your
That makes
chin?
sense.
I mean,
That was your
it's a great question. I don't know if I have like a wide enough like study, pool for that. It's only been a few times, so I don't know.
Well, okay, so what happened in the few times?
Well, I got slugged by my best friend once, just like right here.
True best friend.
And that hurts.
Style.
It hurts. Right there hurts a lot. And then I got kicked in the head a few
I feel
times.
like,
just
I feel
by,
like right there isn't the hurtful place.
Yeah, that's not the most. Like right here, where's the most hurtful place?
Well, this is where you're going to get knocked out when you get your jaw rocked. The nose is a painful place.
So speaking of chins, you previously said that you would return to fighting for a chance to face Ronda Rousey. Would you still do that?
When did I say that?
I don't know. Somebody looked it up on the internet.
Oh, well, I wouldn't believe everything you read on the internet. It's an interesting thing. Like I'm not in anywhere close to fighting shape.
They're into it right now.
The last 2 years of my life has been, or 3 years of my life has just been, I got dropped on my head, basically, by the entertainment business, the Hollywood business. And, I thought my life was really picking up steam and going in a certain direction. And then everybody that was supposed to be protecting me, most everyone, just dropped me on my head. And so then basically put my life in danger, without a doubt, living in California. Now the paparazzi know where I live. I've got stalkers showing up, and had to hire my own private security. And I just had to get out of California to just kind of disappear, I guess. Restart. I thought, so Ben Shapiro offered me the movie opportunity to go over there and work with them. I thought I'd be working with them longer, but we only did one movie, and it was just kind of do the movie and done. So I thought I'd be in Nashville right now, or back then. But then we ended up doing the movie up in Montana. And then I just remember being up in Montana and looking around and just being like, okay, this is where I want to be, because I couldn't breathe during those years of chaos and cancellation and being kind of like stabbed in the back by, everyone. And it was very like, you'd like to think like, and we tried to, and I tried to put out, I'm so strong, I'm trying to fight back, I'm punching back and all of that. But I knew deep down that this is, I'm a very sensitive person, and it's going to take some time to recover from this. And so I finally have my feet underneath me. I've got a home now. That took a while. And so now I think it's all about, my spirituality has grown in the last couple of years in ways that I just has been the biggest blessing. And then my mind is kind of like, because I think my spirituality has grown, my mind has become better and less sick. And so now it's just about translating that all over into my body. So to answer your question, who knows what I'll be able to do with my body once I get it healthy.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Long story on to say, I don't know.
Watch out, Ronda Rousey. She says she's coming back. No,
If this,
Rhonda, she's coming for you.
if this body gets healthy ever,
this is the clickbait.
I'll be
headline.
60 years old and I'll be like, it's healthy now.
We're gonna do the
That's
clickbait
good.
headline.
Clickbait.
Gina says she will crush Ronda Rousey.
She's coming for you, Rousey.
That's the Daily Wire headline.
Yeah, it's you.
And then they cut to, I was so sick.
Exactly.
It's really having a hard time.
Yeah, so you
no,
go
I'm not
you go
making
from kind of MMA into entertainment, film, Hollywood, and then like you said, your life just took a crazy. It sounds like your life took several left turns. Like, did you
Yeah.
expect the kind of
Or rather, right turns.
or
Yeah.
depending, but yeah,
Wasn't a good joke.
politics.
Let's move on.
Politics joke. Was that a politics joke?
I think.
anyway.
I don't even know anymore. It's so long ago.
Man, I had such a good transition too.
Sorry.
I finally had a good one. So your life took all these
Sorry, dude.
unexpected turns, and so you go into Hollywood. I mean, like, was that even something you planned, going from MMA and these like entertainment things like that into Hollywood, or was that like Did that come out of the blue too when you started?
Yeah,
starting
no,
all these
my
big
life
films?
has been just kind of this very interesting. I think I've just been very open-minded from a young age. I just know that, earlier on, my family was like, you have to go to college, you have to do, doctor, lawyer, you have to make something of yourself. This isn't going to be a free ride. And so that was kind of like the energy coming from my family. And so you feel like, okay, well, I'm doing what I have to do. I'm going to UNLV, I'm going to college. And you're feeling completely not passionate about any of it. And then I'm just the type of person that, like, when I started doing mixed martial arts, my whole entire like brain switched and started really, it was life-changing. The moment to walk into a gym and be just completely obsessed with, and let that take over my life just changed everything. So did I walk into the gym and, Master Toddy would say, oh, she walked into the gym and said, I want to be a fighter. It's like, no, I just walked into the gym because I needed to, I needed to end up somewhere. And so my life basically had end up somewhere healthier. My life has just been basically this really fascinating, I walk into the gym, Master Toddy teaches me the authentic version of Muay Thai. I end up being good at it. I end up changing games there and opening up doors for women's MMA. Then I lose a fight, and while I was losing that fight, Steven Soderbergh, director, very well-known director, is watching that fight with his wife, and his wife is like, why don't you put her in a film? And so then that goes from there. And then I'm like struggling through like the independent films and some really, top-notch films, or popular films. Mm-hmm. And then from that, Jon Favreau sees me, doing the whole independent /
like action movie and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And so he sees me and he puts me in The Mandalorian. And then I get canceled from The Mandalorian, and, Ben Shapiro comes and he's like, here you go. I'm going to try to take the sting off of this. And then so that happens. And then I've been in the desert for a while. And then what happens, Elon Musk comes and here he is. He's like, I'm going to, help you fight this battle. And it's just been nothing on earth that I could ever plan. But I mean, I feel like God has just kind of like put me in this very unique existence of situations like that don't seem to normally happen to people.
So you talk about God a little bit. You've said it a couple of times.
Yeah.
So what your spiritual journey and stuff, what does that look like for you now? Like what's your relationship with God?
It's great. It's great. No, it was I grew up a Christian, but I guess like I just kind of like didn't, in the last 3 years, that's just grown in a way that, I don't know what kind of Christian I was before, but I really feel that every single day. Like if I don't read something in the morning to set me off on the right path, then I feel like I just get bumps and bruises all day long and I'm like off. And so I feel almost like new to it all. And I am really grateful. I feel like, God's really kind of like used my life to possibly take the sting off of a very painful time that we've all been through in the last 4 years, and that people out there through my life, didn't feel so alone in what they were going through. And I think when it comes down to that, then it's been all worth it. Yeah, but I'm by no means like this like perfect, I'm such a flawed, like ridiculous human. I am constantly like making making the same mistakes, and but
you sound like a Christian. Yeah,
but I am trying to take more notice of it, and I never tried before. I always thought, I'm just living, and now I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about things deeper than I ever did, and yeah, that's where I'm at now, and it really feels good.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you guys do all this fun stuff. You got to do Extraction, Deadpool, Fast and Furious Part 7 through 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
Were you two? You were two of them?
No, just one.
Just the one?
I was in Fast and Furious. Six. Yeah.
Yeah, you were in the video game. She was in the video game.
She was in the video game?
One of them.
There was
or
a
something.
video game?
Wasn't there something? It was one of your other credits, right? Wasn't it?
Oh no, she was
I'm
in-
sure I've been in plenty of video games and I just don't know it and never got paid for it.
Well, I admit the first time I saw you was in Command and Conquer Red Alert 3, and you played
Oh, yeah.
Natasha and the Russian soldier
Yeah.
thing. Was this the highlight of your career? Because
Yeah.
There's a lot of fans of that. That was a one-day shoot that they had me come in and they're like,
just a whirlwind.
they're like,
you don't even know.
I was like, don't make me say anything. They're like, you have to use a Russian accent. And I was like, here we go. I was like, it was actually just so
I saw like a
funny.
behind the scenes where you're like just standing in front of a green screen, and it definitely looked like
Yeah.
you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing
Yes,
here.
'cause
like, did you even know what?
I was fighting at that. I wasn't like an actress at that point. I think it was
Like you're fighting, yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's interesting taking a fighter. Well, at least me. So maybe I think Conor McGregor might be a lot different, and it just depends on the fighter. But for me, very much so an introvert most of my life, and it was always like, do not show pain when you're in a fight. So I have, I believe, 14 wins, one draw, and one loss in Muay Thai, and then I have 7 wins, 1 loss in cage fighting. And so through that whole time, about like 8 or 9 years that I'm fighting, you're taught not to show emotion or expression. Like, somebody, if you get a good leg kick, or if you get popped in the nose, or if you see stars for a second, you're not supposed to show that to the opponent. The tougher you act to that, which is sometimes like when you see, one of the fighters get knocked pretty good and they start laughing like crazy, it's because they're it's reverse psychology, trying to get back into this head, like, you didn't get me. So mine was always like to, keep it, never let them know that you got hurt.
And you kind of you have a great poker face. That is it when you're fighting. It's
Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
I need to take notes for the first time I get punched.
Yeah.
As an actor, I want to take
Just
notes.
like,
Anyway, yeah.
But then translating that over to acting,
Yeah. Like, I have to show emotion now.
now they're like, like the stunt guys are like, no, we need to go through a whole course of you learning how to take these like pretend, punches and hits and like really overdoing
that didn't
it.
hurt me at all.
Because like I'm all like tight in here, and they're like, no, you gotta like, you gotta swing wide, you gotta kick wide.
Yeah,
you
it's
gotta
a big
do-
dramatic.
Haymakers,
Yes.
like cross in the face.
So it's definitely like a different.
Oh, that's
just a
so
whole
funny.
different world. Yeah, and I was not, definitely a natural actor. I feel like I started really getting the hang of it in the Mandalorian seasons. I started to really like settle in to feeling like I'm taking myself seriously now, and I'm going to be an actress.
Yeah.
Well, you were great in Mandalorian. Mandalorian
Yeah.
was awesome. We all love it, obviously. I mean,
Love it.
that was the thing as kids. You're like, it's big Star Wars fans as kids. It's like that is the thing we always wish they would make. Like everybody wanted to know about the Mandalorians,
Yeah.
and that was what we pretended to be on the playground in high school.
When he says we, he means him.
Well, I'm just talking for myself.
I was always
I never got
I was a Han Solo guy. I don't know.
Oh, so you wanted to be the Mandalorian?
You do. You want to be Boba Fett. He was the most popular, so all of that stuff.
Boba Fett was
Well, I go to these fan expos, and I can't tell you how adorable and how much like these are the people that I absolutely love to like hug and interact with, because it's so sweet that you can talk about like these characters and these things that you're in your childhood, and you can dress up, and there's just no judgment at fan expos. It's just so much fun. And I never thought I would be like a fan expo person. And then I'm just like, the people there are the people that need the hugs the most, and they need the safe place the most. So I absolutely love, I totally get that kind of mentality.
That's cool. You're like ministering to the people there. It's like a great opportunity for
I get
ministry.
to hug them.
It's a ministry for you.
I just get to hug them. I have mothers come up to me and cry. I have people with like social anxiety. I have people with like health problems. And, like a lot of the people during the COVID season were having like the plexiglass in between the, for the photos.
Right.
And when you came into my photos, I was just grabbing them and hugging them and holding them close. And it's like, I wanted to physically touch them all. I wanted to like touch them and hold them and let them know it's going to be okay, because I think that's what we needed. And so I love that about the fan expos.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that must have been the whole experience with The Mandalorian was probably so cool. And it was probably such a bummer when everything went down.
It was the highlight. It was the highlight of my career to go into Manhattan Beach Studios, and it was about 12 minutes door to door from where I lived at the time.
Oh man.
And it was just so cool, like to enter this world, and it was really like a galaxy. And I never had any problems with people on set or any directors or any cast members. I was the person that would like go to Manhattan Beach Meats. I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but they had the most amazing beef jerky. And so one time with like the special effects people, I'm like, we're going to have a beef jerky off, and I'm going to bring you the best beef jerky I've ever had. And so like, they're like, all right, it's all a big competition. We like, have, and I think I won that one because I was like taking a bag around and everybody's having beef jerky. Cut to COVID because of the beef jerky. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you spread it. You started it. That was it.
But no, I just had such a wonderful time. Jon Favreau is just one of the most incredible men in this business and on planet Earth. Jon Favreau is such an incredible man. And I had such a it's just like he was capable of like, to each different actor, he was capable of like giving you a diamond of a character and making you hold this diamond that you felt so special and wanted to do so much honor to this character. I've never wanted to do more honor to a character. And because of his belief in his words, I was able to hold that and do very well with it. And so I finally got my feet underneath me with the acting thing.
It does make a humongous difference when you have a good director.
Oh, it's like
Absolutely. It's like night and day.
Yeah.
And you also got to spend a couple years with one character too. So that must have been awesome, like as an actor.
You didn't feel that way about Natasha in Red Alert 3 as much. They're handing you this diamond.
I feel like I don't know what kind of, she just had a big gun. That was her diamond.
that was the character.
Take this gun.
Cara Dune had a diamond and a gun.
Yes. Yeah. What motivates Natasha?
Do honor to
She
this
has
gun.
big gun. She has
She has big gun.
For some reason, they're
His
always
character.
giving me big guns. Everybody's always just passing me big guns.
It's pretty cool. And then you bring them to the airport.
Yeah, and then
Imagine that you just want to express what you believe. Now, imagine having to spend more than a decade in court just to do that. That's what's still happening to Colorado cake artist Jack Phillips. He's been relentlessly harassed by the state of Colorado and an activist because of his beliefs. But our friends at Alliance Defending Freedom are standing by his side, and they need your help. Join with ADF and be a champion for freedom. ADF is on the front lines defending Americans like Jack in court, free of charge, when their First Amendment freedoms are on the line. And for just $19 a month, you can stand with people like Jack too. So visit joinadf.com/B and pledge your monthly gift of $19 or more to ADF. ADF is committed to the long game of protecting freedoms now and for generations to come, and I am too. Are you? Because it's really important. Go join adf.com/B and be a champion for freedom with your monthly gift or any amount of gift today.
So were you a big Star Wars fan, or is it something that you were kind of like diving into and figuring out the universe?
diving into and figuring out the universe. I was very much so just clueless.
All these nerds and these weird characters.
No,
and
please, I don't say
nerds in an insulting way. Okay? I was one of them.
I wish I was more of a nerd. I think I'm actually a dork more.
More of a dork than
yeah,
nerd,
which
okay.
I feel like the nerds are like the intelligent ones. I feel like more like dorky. But no, I wasn't a Star Wars fan. I didn't know. I just know that, I'd gone to the movies and came out feeling good.
Yeah.
And what a cool world that you get to walk into a theater. I love Star Wars in theaters.
Yeah.
And you just get to walk in and disappear and come out and feel good. But Kevin, he's more of a critic, So he would be like, walk in and he'd come out and kind of be like grumbling. I'm like, Kevin, what are you grumbling about? Like, what is your problem?
That's the nerds.
So Kevin's more of the nerd. He'd be like, just, like the original three. And it's hard to explain it to you. And I was like, okay, well, calm down. I mean, do you feel good? And he's like, yeah, because I'm with you. And I'm like, oh.
Princess Leia couldn't have survived in space.
So
No one hates Star Wars like Star Wars fans. I'll tell you that.
there is quite the Star Wars fans are probably, I think, one of the most intense fan groups in the world, which is how I feel like I ended up, in where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in between.
Well, you guys can all tell from this interview, Gina's very mean. She's very abrasive and aggressive. And you can tell why Disney let her go,
Yeah, it seems like such a contradiction in terms.
so weird,
I
right?
feel like you're such a sweet person, but you could probably kick someone's butt. And also, everyone's mad at you. So
It's so strange. It's been a strange existence, I'd say. I don't understand why I am the way I am.
It is like bizarre world in some ways.
It is. It's so weird. Let's go after this lady.
Like of all the jerks you meet in Hollywood.
Yeah.
This is the
Of all the idiots.
This is
right.
the face
I'm the one.
I guess.
Well, I think it kind of shows you who these people are really, though, because the people that are coming after Gina, I don't want to throw people under the bus for your sake, because we've talked about certain people that are producers over there that are ruining the franchise and that kind of stuff. But those people are these DEI ideologues, you talk about Star Wars fans, but then there's the Wookiees, and that's a whole other cult.
The Wookiees?
The Wokies,
Or the
not the Wookiees, the Wokies. They should have a whole character. Anyway.
Do you know what Wookiees are in Star Wars?
Well, actually, yes. Okay. I thought that's what I was going to get. So I was the
You're
first.
gonna get a Wookiee.
Yeah.
Roll.
So I thought when Jon Favreau had me into the office, he's like, do you know why you're here? Nobody, my agent, my manager at the time, didn't know why I was there. And I was like, okay, so I'm a big fan of Jon Favreau. And so I brought him a bottle of wine. I'm like, hey, I'm a big fan. He's like, well, let me tell you why you're here. And he said, we're doing this Star Wars show called The Mandalorian, and I didn't know what a Mandalorian was. And so my mind just immediately during that just starts racing, okay, what? Okay, so I'm gonna be wearing. I was like, I'm gonna be a Wookiee. Wait, no. What's the ones, the furry ones?
Yeah, the Wookiees.
Yeah, the Wookiees. Yeah. So I thought, oh my gosh, they're gonna have me be this female Wookiee, and I'm gonna have a helmet, and I'm gonna have all the fur and everything. And so when he was going through all the characters, because I couldn't imagine that they were gonna make me the character that they made me, and so I was going through all the characters, and all of these, even Carl Weathers had a helmet on at some point. Rest in peace to that beautiful man. I love him. And his face wasn't even shown at the time, so there was only one female face that was really shown, and I was like, where am I? And she kind of looks like me. Okay, so where am I in this? And he's like, this is the character. I'm like, one of the only ones that has a face.
Yeah, everybody's wearing helmets, right? In the whole
and I was like, I remember that drive home, and I was like, I thought I was going to be a big fur ball. And I've got a face in this, and I don't even know, I just was just like, oh my gosh, thank you.
I mean, the main character was a man with a helmet on, and then a puppet. And then there was you, the only human.
Yeah. And Carl, Carl originally had, Carl had something, I forget what, there's an original version of Carl where his face, and when Carl shows up and he's just got this beautiful voice and his beautiful face, and it's like, no, we can't cover this man's face, So it was kind of cool. But it was just such a wow. I couldn't, that was definitely it was amazing.
Feels like it could be an insult. You got a face for a Mandalorian.
You got a face for radio.
Yeah, that's one of those.
Well, I probably worked harder or longer on that set than any of the main actors, because
you couldn't.
Nobody could have my face. Everybody else got their stunt doubles with their
wear the
helmets on,
all
and
the stand-ins and all that.
Yeah, so that's actually something we're going to bring up. It's you can put my work log for the last the first 2 seasons and compare it to anybody's, and you're going to see how hard I worked on those and how much time and energy. And there was no problems on set with me. I was
let's talk about what led to it. I mean, I know you had the
transition.
There was some social media posts. There was a thing about Jews are being beaten in the streets, but not by Nazis, but by their neighbors. And you're calling people to love each other and love their neighbors. And there was the
get along, people.
You were like, let's not be Nazis was the essential. That's what I remember. Let's not be like the Nazis. You remember that?
Yeah. So how did you find out about it, and what was the given reason?
Well, I started speaking out about, it's not like I started off like, damn the man, like, I'm totally like, I started off like very nervous about what a pandemic was. And I started off like, okay, I got to get to my mom's. I got to make sure they're taken care of and they're taking this seriously. I was scared that people were going to end up in the hospital. I was like making sure that they promised to wear their masks and wipe their feet and keep their shoes outside. And I was washing down all of their groceries because it was right after the Mandalorian 2 season 2 ended that all of this really like happened.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's really funny. Dave Filoni was so sick in this last couple of days, just snot cough. Like I was like, bro, like you've got something going on right now. And like, it was just when like we had just started hearing about COVID and he's like, I'm finishing this just like through his snot and cough. And we were all just like, ooh, like this is, but so I started off like for the first, however long, couple weeks, just like, I'm like, people are going to start turning green and have boils. Like in my mind, pandemic was very, I didn't know what people were talking, like I didn't know what was.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were in that boat. We didn't know what to think. It wasn't political at the time. It was just like, we're all scared. What is this thing?
And so I went home and I mean, I'm intense, so when I get obsessed about something, like I went through all of like my mom's cleaning closet and I was like wiping down everything in the house and then I couldn't clean anything else. And so then I got into my dad's or my stepdad's toolbox and I'm like cleaning, like this is how intense I can be. I was like cleaning off his hammers and like, I was just like, is there anything else I can clean? I was very intense about it. And after I got done, like just shining the entire place and organizing everything, I started kind of taking a look at what was going on the internet. And then I started kind of noticing things that weren't really like, here I am taking it really seriously and afraid to go to the grocery store. And then all of a sudden, like, it started progressing into, protests and then riots. And then like, you can be this far away from a cop spitting in his face. And I'm like, those are spittles of like COVID, right? Like I was started seeing just kind of like irregularities of, you can go to a riot and you can't go to church and you can go to Walmart, but these poor mom and pop places are just getting shut down. And I come from a family that 2 grandfathers built their businesses up from scratch and how hard that was and watching them, make the names that they made for themselves and how right now there's, mom and pop places that are just trying to start off and make that name and you're crushing them and you're just destroying them when obviously there's not a problem with people being around people. So I question the lockdowns heavily. I question, the masks. Originally, I made this like post where it was like, hey ladies, get out your bras or your padded bras and you can make your own mask to like save it for the, hospital employees, So I was like trying to participate positively, but then I was like starting to see people throw coffee on each other. And then like, if you don't wear a mask, you can't do this. And then I was like, wait, what is this turning into? Like, okay, so I calmed down with that. And then it's just like one thing led to another where I was going against the narrative and I was like what I hated to see, which it will always bother me, is like I hated to see people in such fear and have questions, legit questions that they were afraid to ask. And so I always said, I got to the point where I finally said, you should be more afraid that you're afraid to ask questions to the people that are supposed to work for us, our government. We should be able to ask these questions about anything and they should be able to be like, okay, let's have a conversation about it. But conversations at the time were bad. Mm-hmm. And then it finally, like, I just had a target on my back. I was harassed. I put Beep Bop Boop very innocently in my bio because it was, I'm sure you guys remember 3 years ago, it was like, say this, hashtag trans rights, hashtag BLM, hashtag ACAB, hashtag all of this stuff. And you're like, it's like, I'm not like, I'm just like, you don't have to do anything. You could put anything you want on your bio. Like this should not be the energy.
It's a very lighthearted joke. It's not really like, it wasn't this super mean, pronoun joke where you're like, these people with pronouns. It was just like, yeah, Star Wars.
I was literally watching a UFC fight and I was like, oh my gosh, enough. This has been months of do this. And I was in months of it, and I was just like, what am I going to put in my bio? And I was like, Kevin, what's like the least most offensive thing that people, and he's like, I don't know, beep, bop, boop. And I'm like, yeah, beep, bop, boop. It's like R2-D2. And I was like, that's
that
cute.
won't offend anybody.
Yeah. And I'm like, who gets upset about a boop? Who on earth can be upset about a boop?
Yeah.
We know who.
I guess we found out. Yeah.
And then I put it up there, and then I saw the complete meltdown that started taking place. And after that, I clarified it more than once. I said, okay, this isn't towards the transgender community. This is towards the online mob telling me that I need to do something. This is to the people that have got like Trash Panda in their bios that are like, you need to put your pronouns. I'm like, your pronouns are in your bio. Like this was to the people that were bullying or trying to bully all of these people to follow their agenda, where it's like, so that's why beep, bop, boop. And then it just was this massive meltdown with Disney and Lucasfilm that you would never believe, like the struggle session that happened after that.
Wow. So they got everyone together for a struggle session
They
with
threw
a
stones at me.
Was it with a DEI consultant or something like that? Or was it with like just the
whipping
people?
you in the middle. And
Yeah.
making you
Well, actually,
apologize.
it was interesting. Journalists asked me about this the other day, and they're like, what did that feel like when that started happening from their company? Like, what was that feeling when that started happening? Because you expect, the mob to be the mob, but you definitely don't expect the company that you've had a really good time working with to participate in the mob, right? Mm-hmm. And they said, what did that feel like for you? And I said, those vampire movies that, you've got that like innocent girl that's walking into the club, and everybody in the club is a vampire except for you. And like, that innocent girl that's walking in, and then all of a sudden it's like the clock strikes 12, and then like blood starts raining, and all of a sudden she's just like, what? And then like all of these teeth just get sunk into all of like every part of her body.
Mm-hmm.
Was this a specific movie? Is this a real?
Yeah, there was a
movie? Or was
Blade.
this like a
Blade 1.
Was that?
Blade?
Yeah, it was.
Remember that?
like that was very.
I don't remember,
evocative.
but
The most visceral scene in the world. Yeah, like
yeah. So I'm remembering it from somewhere, right? So it's Blade.
They walk in and like they're in like a meat locker, and it's
Yeah.
like an underground club, and it's a bunch. You don't know it's a bunch of vampires. They just look like young hipsters.
Yes.
And then so like all of a sudden, the music changes, and then the things
the blood
turn on,
comes
the blood
out,
comes down,
and all of a sudden
"Yay."
all the teeth come out.
blood rain.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then like I don't know if there was a specific person in that, but that's what it felt like. Then all the
Fright Night.
teeth just like started sinking in every part of me, and I was just like, what's going on? And that's
crazy.
what
I
it.
didn't realize you guys were vampires. That's so weird.
I know. That's
Did
so
Blade
strange.
show up in this scene?
No.
Yeah, at the very end of that scene.
So Ben.
Oh, I was
Shapiro-
like, in my life, no. Is Ben Shapiro
Ben
Blade at
Shapiro's
this
Blade.
yeah, does Ben Shapiro Blade?
He was at that point.
All right, so this was 3 years ago now that this happened, and now we're talking about a lawsuit. So we want to talk about this whole lawsuit thing. Let's. What's going on?
Well, can I touch on the final post that
You can say whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the final post I posted like on the tweet fleet version, and I forget the exact words because it was just a meme kind of retweet, and it said something about it didn't start with the Nazis, it started before that. And my whole purpose in putting that out there was because in 2020, I never paid attention to politics. I've never, been involved. I thought I pay my taxes. That's good. I'm going to just create my career here. But
Unlike Blade.
Was he
Wesley Snipes? Is that Wesley Snipes?
Oh, Wesley Snipes has always been a political figure.
No, he didn't pay his taxes.
oh, got you.
That was
good.
That was a
like-
very smart joke.
I
That
see
was
where you went there.
smart. That was smart.
Thank you, Gina.
I pay my taxes unlike Wesley Snipes.
All right, please continue. I apologize.
That's actually very smart. Okay.
Thank you. You don't have to keep saying. I know it wasn't smart.
No, it was smart. It was smart.
Kyle, you're smart.
No, you're really smart.
Yeah, I'm sure I am.
Okay, so basically, I was trying to tell people to stop demonizing people, and that to understand through history by demonizing people, it has ended up badly. And that was just basically what I thought we could all take away from.
Not a controversial statement.
No, I didn't feel like it was. I felt like it was just kind of like, this is what happened. before the Nazis got into power, they were, can you imagine, having your next door neighbor who you've had dinner with for the last 10 years, and then all of a sudden, okay, well, all of this propaganda and all of this hate, and, okay, well, then you stop having dinners, and then, okay, well, then you kick over the trash can, and then all of a sudden one day somebody's knocking, the Nazis are knocking at their door and taking them out and taking all of their furniture. And it's just like in my head, my naive head, 3 years, 4 years ago, I couldn't understand how anybody could just let that happen, or how it got there. And so my whole tweet was just to accent on that, how that can happen to a population, and how we could all learn from it on both sides of the spectrum, Democrats, Republicans, independents, people who haven't voted, just to keep that in our thoughts. And I thought that was for everyone. But apparently to Disney, it was denigrating people off of their cultural and religious beliefs, and it was abhorrent. And I was in shock to be smeared as this anti-Semite, along with everything else that they'd smeared, the mob had smeared me as at that point. Just in shock. Like, I've never been called these things in my entire life. And now you've got the biggest entertainment company in the world backing up these awful allegations of this mob, the very fickle mob. And so, yeah, that was very, very hard, very painful. For 2 years, or for a few years, or 3 years, I've just been kind of like trying to rebuild my life, and, sitting in this desert. And then, I was like I've been watching people grow, the Daily Wire is growing. Some wonderful things are happening with their company. I'm not, with their company, but I feel like I was a big part of opening some of those doors for some of those actors who are getting to do what they get to do now. I'm watching you guys grow. I'm watching like some justice happen to people. And, I kept on like thinking, I was like, God, do you think I'm going to get justice? I want justice too.
Yeah.
And I wanted, so badly I wanted it. But then it was kind of like a very humbling experience, because it's like, you have a beautiful life, Gina. Like, you have to be grateful for where you're at, be grateful that you're alive, and give it to him completely. And, it might not look like justice to you, but he's working on, the behind the scenes, and you don't know what he's doing, and you don't know you're alive. Okay. A lot of my friends aren't alive right now. I've lost 6 people in the last 3 years. I've lost 6 loved ones that, that's also what I've been going through. So I was like, where is she? I'm like, struggling, straight struggling.
Hanging in there, yeah.
Yeah. And so like a week before I got the email from X, I finally had given it completely over to God and said, okay, it's yours. It's yours. I'm just going to start. I'm going to restart. I'm just going to put people around me that I can really know that are coming from a good place. I'm going to clean out, everybody that I feel like I can't trust. And I'm just going to simply start over. And then a week from that prayer, I got an email from X lawyers that said, we would be very interested in hearing your story and possibly representing you in a case. And I was like,
Wow.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that they had reached out to you.
Yeah, over email.
That felt like a sign.
It's like, well, I don't think it gets any more obvious than that. And not to put any pressure on the case, but what just this case has done for me already, it's like when a big, powerful company like that puts those labels and, kind of like smears you like that and defames you, nobody wants to touch you. In fact, not does nobody not want to touch you, they think it is okay to disrespect you and sink their teeth into you as well and take their shots, and without even knowing the behind the scenes, without even knowing the real stories. And so just already by Elon Musk and X, putting out the statement that they're backing me in this, has already just lifted this like giant, like, I feel like I can breathe. And then I wasn't forgotten. I wasn't forgotten in this desert. I was just waiting. And so, and now I just feel like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm so grateful to be able to tell my story. And I'm grateful that professional eyes are going to look into this. I'm grateful that Disney and Lucasfilm have to go through their emails and have to look at how their company treated their employee at this time. I'm grateful for a judge to be able to look at it. I'm grateful for hopefully a jury. I'm grateful for everybody to be able to see how absurd this situation was, so that it makes it so much harder for a woman or a man to walk into a club not knowing that everybody in there is vampires. So I just am so grateful. Elon Musk is, I think he's going to go down as a legendary human being in history. Everybody's always asked, like, where's our legends, in this day and age? And I think that Elon Musk, we're all very flawed human beings, but I think he's going to go down in history. At this point, he's fighting governments around the world for free speech. He's fighting our own American government for free speech. He's fighting for all of these. I mean, they're taking on a bunch of cases like this. He's fighting Disney for me. And he's also fighting to the smallest cases, so he's just really doing a lot. And I feel like, I think God's using him in ways that is a pretty beautiful thing. So it's just mind blowing.
We like him.
He's pretty cool.
Do you have
I mean, I say that I've never even met him or had a conversation with him.
Oh.
I can't wait to just shake his hand and just thank him. I hate to see one thing on the internet that I see happening a lot. Everybody's like, well, he's doing this wrong and he's doing this wrong. And everybody's being these like little brats stomping their feet. Like, what about this? And what about this? And it's like, he could have just bought Twitter and disappeared. He didn't even have to ever buy Twitter. Like what he has done to date so far, and he's continuing to do this, I think everybody just needs to take a big solid moment and be grateful for this person who's put him and his family and his incredible mother, they've shouldered this responsibility that our own government hasn't been able to shoulder. The most powerful government in the world hasn't been able to get right. So I think maybe a little bit of mercy and a little bit of grace, a little bit of faith, and a lot of gratefulness to this random billionaire we all have fighting the good fight.
Yeah. So, but as an MMA professional, do you think Elon could beat Zuckerberg?
I actually almost put out, it's really funny. And this is before he even took on my case, but it was when he put out that, if you've ever been wronged by your employer or whatever, it was really funny because I almost put, how about this? How about you fight Disney for me and I'll destroy Zuckerberg for you?
Oh, come on. Can we?
Offer still stands.
Gina Carano is calling Mark Zuckerberg out. It's official.
For Elon, I would in a heartbeat.
It's going to happen here at the Babylon Bee office.
The new headline, the new title. Gina Carano says she would destroy
Mark Zuckerberg.
With pleasure.
You would too.
With pleasure.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
Sponsored by Elon.
Now we're like...
Winner gets a Cybertruck.
Now I'm seeing it in my head.
Winner gets a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
And so do I.
You like the Cybertruck? Are you a fan? Or?
I have never been in one.
It looks cool.
I signed up for one.
Or do you think it looks weird? Are you one of the people that thinks
No, it's like a total... I mean, there's no hate coming from me here. I was staying at this really well-known hotel in town, Los Angeles. And this car drove up and it opened and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this amazing thing? And I went back and I was like, oh, it's a Tesla. That's pretty cool. So, I think that's cool. I think this is what the future we imagined. Tesla's like what we imagined the future was supposed to look like.
Yeah, it is crazy to think about.
I love it.
Tony Stark character going around.
Totally. Well,
I know, and I was thinking like Batman because I like Batman, I think, over Tony Stark. So I wanted to compare Elon to Batman, but then somebody on the internet is like, it's not Batman because we know who he is. And I'm like, okay, just never mind.
true.
Okay, I'm
Totally.
not gonna get into. I'm not gonna get into the nerd wars. I'll lose.
Nerd. Yeah, those are the nerds responding.
I was like, I'm gonna lose that one.
That's a different convention circuit you can join, I'm sure. Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, best of luck, and we're praying for you in the lawsuit. And I mean, but no matter what happens, like you said, it's going to call attention to these things, and you got to think that employers are going to be a little more careful, knowing that, like Elon's sitting there ready for his lawyers to file a lawsuit when something like this happens.
And hopefully, I think there's a really wonderful movement right now. You guys have been just like Elon in your own right, just, sticking up for people that needed to hear a voice or needed to hear something funny and needed to see something and laugh, and just that power, that energy needed to happen. And if it wasn't for all of us doing our little small parts to just stay true to who we are, then I think America today would have looked a lot differently. So I feel like I haven't met you guys in person, but I feel like I've just been on the same team.
Well, we feel the same way, and you were an early fan of the Bee, so
Yes, I was one of the early ones.
maybe that's why you got canceled. That was the actual reason. They were going through your follows, and they're like, "Oh, she follows him."
Association. Well, I'll tell you what. My thought is, you are doing this thing. We're supporting you. Nobody's forgotten you. God has a serious plan for you. I'm excited to see what God's going to do in and through your life from this point on. He's obviously allowed you to go through some hard things, but you're not the type of person that buckles under that kind of thing. And you have God behind you, not just Elon.
I kept on telling myself that.
Yeah.
I kept on saying, God is bigger than Disney.
Yeah.
And that was something I whispered to myself through this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, actually Disney's like this compared. So I'm glad that I get to talk about that with you guys, because I think a lot of people, I wanted to make sure, if anything happened to me tomorrow or in my life, that at least I said that.
Yeah, and I'd like, I think a lot of times people out there feel like they're alone, and that's one of the things that I love that the Babylon Bee gets to do is, like, they're scrolling social media and you feel like there's this mob against you or whatever, and it's like, oh, these people are sane, or or we're laughing at the darkness, and I think there's something powerful about that. I felt like
I'll stay true to who I am, and the mob will keep on going up and down and all around and do whatever it does, and by staying true to who I am, it's going to expose them. And sure enough, I think that's exactly what it's done. And I have now I have a responsibility that I'm really taking care of, that I hope to just continue letting my life expose what's happening in this.
What advice would you give to people that are maybe going through something similar, probably on a smaller scale than you? This was like one of the most public things that I've seen, cancelings that I've seen.
Yeah, it was quite aggressive.
Yeah, it was a crazy thing.
Really?
But what advice would you give to those folks?
Get Elon Musk to email.
Yeah, that's right.
I would say, there's been a lot of times in my life and careers, even both in fighting and in acting, where, you feel like your line is here, and then you feel like, oh gosh, well, if I just go a little past that line, it'll be fine, if I, and then once you let them move the line closer and more, then the more you're disrespecting yourself. And so the person that I was at 2020 was a person who had said no a lot in my Hollywood career. Cool. I said no a lot. And so I would say you've got a line, a precious line, and that is your self-respect and your integrity. It involves your soul and your mind and your body. And I would say, if anything, try to improve that line and make sure that when somebody comes up against that line and starts to try to, attack the cage, that is such a strong line where this isn't even an option. I mean, I've been in rooms of the people that have been accused of, doing awful things to women, but I never had a problem because my line was here and I've never had a problem.
Also, you could probably beat them up, I imagine.
I know. So also, I would say get your children in mixed martial arts.
Get them into mixed martial arts.
2 pieces of advice.
My kids are all in jiu-jitsu. So I'm
awesome.
Yeah.
So that, 2, don't let them pass your line, get a very strong line, and also get them in mixed martial arts today.
Especially girls. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
The 10 questions.
All right, well, we're going to wrap up this interview with the same thing we do with every interview, which is the 10 questions.
10.
These are 10 sacred questions we ask every Babylon Bee.
And I know you guys ask these
They're
questions.
most
and
incredible.
I don't remember
It's
them.
good that you didn't remember them because they're
Okay.
kind of, yeah. The first one is, have you ever met Carmen? Carmen is
This is the dumbest question.
this Christian rapper.
Right here.
No, never
You
met
remember
Carmen.
Carmen?
No, I remember Amy Grant.
Okay.
Okay,
You were in that world
okay.
then. He was
Yeah.
weird, but he died.
I mean,
but he was
a genius, Kyle.
a genius. But
Well,
okay.
most weirdos are.
We're just trying to figure out who's met him. So, all right.
All right, are you a Calvinist or an Arminian?
What?
Good question. So an Arminian. Yeah.
It's like a predestination or free will, from a theological perspective. Like, is
Yeah.
everything determined ahead of time, or do humans have free will?
Oh, I feel like humans have free will, and it's like kind of like one of the most interesting things that you could think about, because also God has a plan.
Mm-hmm.
So how can these two things exist? So I think God is also mysterious. So I think that humans have free will, and
God works it all.
God works it all
Together.
Yeah,
All right.
and I don't know what that makes me then.
Yeah. A little bit of both. A little bit
Yeah,
of both.
maybe both. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You sound like a candidate for Calvinism. in the
Yeah,
future at some
we can
point.
talk more. We should.
It's a very tough question.
Yeah, it is. So theologians have been debating it for
Many years.
many years.
Many,
All right.
many.
Many.
Number 3, you can add one book to the Bible. What is it?
Otherwise, what's your favorite book?
I think maybe I shouldn't be adding any books to the Bible.
Okay, completely unrelated question. What is your favorite book, or like one book you think everybody should read?
For me, when I was going through my toughest time in the last 4 years, it's called A Silver Refined, I believe,
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
by Joyce Meyer.
Oh, yeah.
I think. And that's what really got me through understanding that, this isn't going to be easy, but you're, going to come out the other side
better on the other
refined.
side. All right.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, cigars or pipes?
Cigars. Hard, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, my family loves cigars. Well, no, my Uncle Greg loves cigars. And so I learned about
Do
cigars
you
when I was 12.
partake? Do you partake at all, or are you?
Absolutely. I'd love a cigar.
Cool.
Yeah, we have some here. So
Yeah, we do. That's all right. You get to hang out with any 3 people, living or dead. Who are they?
Jesus.
All right. Oh, you can't pick Jesus.
You can't pick. That was a rule?
It is a rule
Yeah,
because everybody would
because
say
he's
that.
also always here.
and he's
so
already here.
Oh,
You're hanging with
you
him all
got
the
me
time.
there. You got me there. 3 people. If I could hang out with any 3 people.
Yeah, living, dead. The dead ones come back
or
to life.
otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's so difficult. I think I would just like more time with the people who I lost,
Yeah.
which was 6 of them in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it surprises you or not, but we asked this question, and a lot of people say historical figures, but about half the people say like, my grandma or
my
grandpa,
grandma.
or like,
Yeah, both my grandfathers, my best friend died, and my cousin died of cancer. I mean, those are the people I'd want to see again.
Yeah.
I always like that answer actually better. It means
This is a question of who's a good person or not. 'Cause
yeah,
the
no,
people
it
that
kind
are
of
good-
shows you like that what people value. Yeah,
most of
it's-
my heroes, it's like, oh, George Washington. I'm like, it'd probably be weird to hang out with him.
Yeah, he'd probably be weird.
He'd probably be like, well, who are you? Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
But like,
Why do you have wooden
yeah,
teeth?
Right.
So whiskey or beer?
Today,
Right now, are you offering?
Why not? Yeah,
I used to be such a hardcore whiskey girl, but I don't know. I'd probably take a beer
Okay.
today.
40 of Old English.
No,
40.
no, never again. But I think you guys need to try that for
I
me.
do. We're gonna do
just
this.
to understand the psychology of like where you're at when you're that young and you're like you would actually put this into your body.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
intense.
What
But I
would,
do love a good whiskey though.
what would be the first thing you would do as president?
The first thing I would do is close the border.
Close the border. All right.
It's a good answer.
I'm voting Gina 2020.
Yeah,
Well, I just think that we need less chaos and we need a second to breathe and we need to calm everything down.
It does seem wild.
this is a weird question for you. It's usually
Well, we
Not,
we
but
can
I-
get her
but-
but like a street store.
maybe like a good street story. So the question normally is, have you ever been punched or have you punched anyone? And so
A lot.
yeah. So you made a career out of it.
But have you ever done that outside of the ring?
Or we could, the other question that's,
what is your best story?
yeah,
of
what's
punching
your,
someone?
or like, how did you get in? Like, what was your first fight or, yeah.
There was an interesting story before I started fighting. We were at a hotel party, and they, long story short, closed the door and my little sister was in there. And she got to the door, opened up the door and said, they took my hat, and I just snapped. And I threw my drink on someone and I just went like haywire on like 3 different guys. And so then I see my little sister who's all 135 pounds and she's attacking someone and we just like were fighting for our lives. It felt like for a second. I got headbutted and broke my nose on that one. It took at least like 3 or 4 of them to restrain me, and they were so freaked out that these girls were gonna go this hard at this situation, because the second they said that they actually touched her, even though it was just they took her hat, even that my blood flipped into a very primal, I guess, state.
You should have played the Hulk.
You saw red.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's only been very, very few times that's ever happened, but that definitely happened in that situation. My nose was just gushing blood, and it was very intense.
And you didn't notice because you were so in the moment.
Oh, they had to like have 3 of them have my hands behind, like my arms like up behind my back and like around my neck. Like they had to hold me back, and there was like 3 or 4 men or boys, let's say, early, not boys, but
Boys.
yeah.
I just thought.
It got crazy real fast.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
I broke my nose. I think that's the only time I have broken my nose.
Wow.
Yeah.
The only time of all
Yeah.
the times. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
I had good hands.
I love that story. You got good hands.
Yeah.
You get to go to one concert, any band in history. Who do you go see?
Gosh, I didn't grow up like a movie or a music person.
Pick Amy Grant. You could pick Carmen.
I wouldn't pick Amy Grant. Oh no.
Baby, baby.
Oh my gosh.
She was
I
rolling the
remember
orange.
that.
She was rolling the orange back and forth with that
Oh
guy that
my
wasn't.
gosh.
I don't remember the music.
Shoot. Can you guys because I didn't grow up with music.
Leonard Skinner,
Let's go with
Queen,
Eminem.
Let's go with
the Monkees.
well, I went to a lot of punk shows when I was little. Let's go with something. Not who's Fly Me to the Moon.
Okay.
Just like
Was that
Sinatra
Tony?
Sinatra. Frank
yeah,
Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra.
I would go to Frank Sinatra.
All right.
Frank Sinatra.
That's a good pick.
That's a good pick. Yeah.
Thank you.
I did it my way.
Yeah.
Okay, right now.
That's Fly Me to the Moon is him too as well, right?
Yeah,
I thought so.
I think so. There's a couple of crooners.
Frank Sinatra.
All right. Good
Yeah,
pick.
I like
Yeah.
that. That's a good answer. All right, so right here and right now,
This is the
with,
final question.
with every head bowed and
Yes.
every eye closed, would you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior?
I'm already
I know you are. That's our
I'm already
She's in.
there.
We got her.
Can we get a recommitment?
What is
Like
that?
a rededication? Like you're just gonna do it again? Just
We have an altar set up right
Just to
here.
be-
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, what does that mean though?
well, it just means that we got you. Like we did it.
Oh,
Like,
you're
we
trying to
converted
claim
you.
that?
Yeah, we want
You
to.
did it?
We want
On the ledger. We got you on the ledger. So when we get to heaven, it'll be like,
We'll be like,
oh,
oh,
Gina.
Oh, you
Carano,
guys
we
are
got
taking.
Carano's on
I don't
here.
know. I think
Yeah.
I don't know. I think God's gonna knock you on the chin for that one.
Maybe that will be my first punch.
Actually, yeah. So do you think you could give Kyle his first punch?
Oh yeah, we could Gina or God, one of
Or
those.
actually, or me too. I'm like, I kind of want to
You've
know.
been punch.
I want to know how my
No,
chin
I want
is.
you guys to be okay and continue on your work here.
I actually don't want Gina to punch me because she will knock me out.
She probably would knock me out too. Mm-hmm. It's true. Well, thank you for coming.
Either
in,
that or it
Gina.
would be highly disappointing if I didn't. Like, oh
I
gosh.
highly doubt it.
Thank you for coming, Gina. All our prayers and best wishes in the lawsuit and everything you're going through. It sounds like you got an awesome story, and we just feel a great, connection and kinship with you because we've been
Thank
through a
you.
lot of, similar things here. And
I'm so happy I finally got to meet you guys in person. Because remember, we wanted to do this podcast early, like right
It was the day. Okay, so you were scheduled to come on, and then like the day before, because I think you were already getting in trouble with some of the pronoun stuff.
Yeah.
You were gonna come on, and the day before is when you actually got fired.
Right.
And then you were like, I'll still do it, but I don't know if I'm in the best mental state. And
I
then
was not.
I think the next day you were like, yeah, I'm just not in the mental state.
I was
like,
not in the best mental state at all.
And then I think Ben Shapiro ended up managing to do the tear on the press.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro was like, okay, I get the exclusive, so.
Yeah.
And I went that direction, but I am glad that we finally fulfilled this commitment.
Yeah.